I'm David Shuston, here with Carrie Thompson, Global Process and IT Alignment Manager with Ford Motor Company, and Brian Sharnock, Solution Owner for Service Parts Management, Industry Business Solutions at SAP. Here we are a year and a half after the launch of the Service Parts Management Influence Council, and at the wrap-up of the first of their customer connection programs, Service Parts Planning. I promised last year to have my guests back and check in and see how the programs work together. This Influence Council is a great example of how ASUG and SAP Influence programs work together. The Influence program brought together a great group of ASUG customers and leveraged those customers within SAP to open up a customer connection focus topic. This was the second focus topic opened up by ASUG, so we're very proud of the process. Now SAP has delivered several of the improvement requests developed by this council, and they have delivered a number of them, and soon we'll be rolling out the final improvement request to the community. Let's check in and see where they are now. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you guys find working in the framework of the Influence Council and the customer connection improve the process?
I think it made it very easy for us because SAP already had a customer connection program process in place, so they could tell us how the process worked and we could figure out where we would fit in, what the timelines were, and everything else. So it was really pre-packaged and very easy for us to figure out and get started.
And I think having the opportunity to start inside of our Influence Council, we already had a group of customers together with common requirements already on the table, and it gave us a forum that was already established to take those deep dives on the topics and educate each other. We had some topics that made our list of improvement ideas that as we took the deep dive with the other customers, we would teach each other. Maybe we had already found a solution to some of those and we could remove them from our list. But it was a great opportunity to educate and to solicit support for some of the new ideas.
That made it very efficient as well, because in our case, the customer connection project for service parts planning was started very quickly. But we already had, through the Influence Council, we already had our requirements listed, were tracking them in a spreadsheet, and we were really ready to go. It was a much shorter timeline than SAP was used to as far as getting a customer connection project started.
Did you find any drawbacks with the process, having it started as an Influence Council going into a customer connection?
Well, I think on the contrary, it was really helpful, as Carrie mentioned, because we already had our group established, and we already had a lot of the requirements that we were going to submit identified, and we had already talked about them as a group. I think the one thing that we needed to keep in mind, or we didn't realize at first, was that the customer connection program was from SAP, not just for the ASUG Influence Council. So other ASUG Influence, or other Influence Councils could participate, other user groups could also participate. And in hindsight, we probably should have gotten some of those other groups involved earlier.
Would you have suggestions for other Influence Councils that are looking at opening up a customer connection? Beyond more thinking of that as a worldwide program and reaching out as a great way to increase the numbers of participation.
Yeah, I mean, I think our starting in the Influence Council gave us that great kickstart, right, to get going. But we have to remember that it's a global program. So even working inside of the Influence Council, some of the users groups outside of the U.S. were able to participate, but we might have gotten them engaged a little bit late. So knowing when we're going to kickstart a project, reaching out to the global community a little sooner would have helped us.
Right. Did you guys work directly with any of the SAP developers?
We did, as needed. The topic owners would be contacted by the developers when they needed clarification on requirements, or as they were going through just to get some feedback throughout the development process. And it was actually very efficient doing it that way because we really took away that middleman in the process and linked our topic owners and SMEs directly with those developers.
Right.
Yeah, it was really helpful, and you know, that's one of the things that everybody needs to know up front, that the Influence Council, you come together, you submit your requirements, and then you essentially vote on them. You subscribe to the improvement requests. But that's not where the collaboration with SAP ends, because as SAP goes through the development process, oftentimes they'll need feedback, or they'll want you to, as a customer, participate in the testing. And of course, you know, SAP is building these improvements so that customers can consume them very quickly and very easily. So of course we want the customers who submit the improvement request to also be some of the early adopters and download those improvement requests when they're available.
And I think that's a point with the Customer Connection Program, that you do get to connect directly to SAP developers, especially if you have written up that request and subscribed to it. And that's a very important part, is that members have to remember that they have to go in, they have to subscribe and support the other users in their ideas for improving other products.
Yep.
How do you think, I know that we're just rolling out some of the projects. Where are we at in that process?
Well, overall, the Customer Connection Program for Service Parts Planning, we had 69 improvement requests that were submitted.
Right.
We had 30 that received at least 5 subscriptions or more, which was the threshold that we were looking for. And we adopted 15 into the program. So out of those 15 improvement requests that SAP is targeting to deliver, 7 of them have already been delivered a couple months ago, and I know that some of the Influence Council members have been downloading and starting to use those improvements. And the other 8 are going to be delivered later this month. So we're almost at the end of our first Customer Connection Program.
Right. Yeah, and the council members have given us some feedback that they're just in the initial phases of downloading those improvements. And I think you had some input on that process of aligning with Ford's improvement process.
Yeah, it was really a big change for us, because typically in our SAP projects, SAP just can't deliver fast enough for us, right? We always want everything now. And it was almost turning the tables, because in this Customer Connection Program, the improvements were delivered so fast, we have a hard time at Ford, as the customer who subscribed to some of these topics, getting them implemented quick enough.
Right.
We're in the middle of a bunch of deployments, so it's key for us, and it's one of our responsibilities participating in this program, to get that fix or the improvement idea downloaded, tested, and implemented. And we just can't seem to do it fast enough fitting in our cycles, so it's completely opposite.
Another positive experience.
It's a good problem to have.
Right, it's a good program to be ahead, be behind SAP.
Exactly.
Right? And do you foresee any of these impacts on your process or your daily lives yet?
Absolutely. We're early in the phase of getting the improvement ideas into our production systems, but we are already anticipating significant improvements in the performance of the tool itself, as well as some usability improvements. And for us, just overall functionality gaps that we, as Ford, would have had to develop ourselves if it wasn't coming through this Customer Connection project. So a lot of value.
A lot of value in saving of that custom development.
Right.
And I think one of the other points, and this is beyond the Customer Connection Program, but with our Influence Council, was the interaction between the members and the education that happened between the group, as this was a somewhat new solution rolled out from SAP. So there was a lot of learning from other members as this council has been working for the last year and a half.
Yeah, the customer base is definitely growing very quickly, and we're all in different phases of our implementation. So every one of our council meetings, we seem to be learning something from one another, whether somebody's found a solution to a challenge that 2 or 3 other people on the call may have. So there's a lot of sharing and education that goes on within the group.
Great, absolutely. Do you have any other additional comments or points you want to add, Brian?
Just from an SAP perspective, this has been a really positive experience for us. It's been one of the best customer connection programs that SAP has conducted so far, just because we already had the Influence Council formed. It was very efficient, as I mentioned, because all the requests that were submitted by our Influence Council had already been discussed and articulated, so we had PowerPoint slides from our monthly calls that we could just give directly to development to say, here's the problem, here's what we think a possible solution could be. So it really helped to jumpstart development. It's been a really positive experience. And the nice thing about the Customer Connection Program from an Influence Council perspective is that it's something where SAP is saying very definitively, we are going to do this. We have a defined scope, which is very clear. We have a defined timeline, and we have really good visibility as to what the improvement requests are that are submitted and voted. So we really know what our customers are asking us for. And it really gives us a good sense of confidence that, you know, when we come out with these improvements, that they are requested by our customers, they are going to be used by our customers. So it's a really great program.
And Carrie?
And from a customer perspective, it was exciting for us. We had been using the product for several years. We had a lot of ideas. It was nice to, within the council, to get customers together that have those common requirements and find out that it wasn't, you know, we weren't alone out there. We were able to share a lot of ideas. And moving through the customer connection program itself, it's a very disciplined process. So it made it very easy for us to get those ideas out there and make it through the socialization and the prioritization with the other customers. And the way an idea is, the criteria to get an idea approved within a customer connection program made it very easy for us to gain that momentum going forward. And also to keep everybody excited about it because of the short duration of the program. And because of the quick delivery of the improvement ideas, we're getting things along the way, right? You don't have to wait till the end of the program to get a delivery of an improvement idea. It's all along.
That's great. That's great. All right. Well, thank you. This is a great example of a successful influence council, and that has increased the power of ASUG and the power of the community, and given feedback right into the customer connection program. And it's just a highlight of how the influence councils work together with the customer connection program. And you already have 2 new customer connection programs proposed, and one has already been approved, and it'll be starting off this fall. So I want to thank you, Carrie and Brian, and thank you to our ASUG members for creating a successful year of customer connection and influence councils. This is David Sheston signing off.